Hi, Mark here from the Tangibound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangibound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangibound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangiboundNetwork.com and see if Tangibound Network is right for you.
This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net. Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
Crisis for the geek kind. Top geek officials admit they underestimated the hipsters' defense capability. Join the geek revolution and save the galaxy. Geeks from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future. They're doing their part. Are you? Want to know more? Join Weeby Geeks and the Geek Revolution and save the world. Service guarantees citizenship. Listen to Weeby Geeks podcast on iTunes and Stitcher or online at WeebyGeeks.net. Weeby Geeks, your voice for the Geek Revolution. Want to know more?
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. And try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to The Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen, and I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, as always, we have Brian.
Howdy.
And still no Heno. Wah, wah.
No, he's on his way home.
We miss you, Heno. But you know what this means. This is...
3
in a row.
Yeah.
Shame. Times you get to go first.
Yep.
Well, I will start us off this evening. Wow, what do I want to talk about? Well, something that actually was kind of interesting. Well, first we'll just start with things have been pretty normal and standard for the last few days, so which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
No news is good news when it comes to mental health, and so I'm in a good place. I'm just kind of coasting, so I'm doing pretty well there. Something I did see though, because I've been binge watching quite a lot of TV. There's actually a new drug on the market for bipolar 1 disorder.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, Viralex, I think it is.
I don't remember the name, but I remember seeing, a new medicine.
The interesting part about this medicine, because currently right now I'm on Wellbutrin and Abilify.
Yeah.
Abilify keeps you from getting too high. Wellbutrin keeps you from getting too low.
Right.
Well, what this new drug does is it takes away the highs, the lows, and it manages in betweens.
Right.
So, that's what piqued my curiosity.
Sure.
Now, whenever you're talking about new drugs, especially when you're dealing with someone who's been fairly successful with a drug program like I have been for the last 4 or 5 years. So,
really quick, I want to point out drug program. By drug program, you mean that,
yes.
the medicines you're using in conjunction with your doctor. By drug program, you don't mean like, former addict.
No,
kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Drug regime, however you want to call
right.
it. I've been using the same 2 meds for quite a long time.
Right.
Very successfully, I shall say.
Right.
In the scheme of things. Yeah, I had my ups and downs and stuff, but for the scheme of things, everything's been pretty darn good for these types of medicines. I played around with some different stuff like Prozac, and that was a little bit too numbing for me. And then there was another medicine they had me try, which actually made me nauseous. So that was the last new med that I've tried. So I'm really curious about this I think it's Viralex or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna I have to make an appointment with my doctor anyways because it's time to get my scripts renewed.
Yeah.
So in February, that's on my agenda, is to get into both my doctors and talk to my psychiatrist.
Yeah.
About the new medicine. So got that going.
Yeah, and that's a good move so that because it can't hurt to talk to him about it, because he can, if you talk to him and you go, I don't really think you're a good candidate for it, okay, fine, or, we can try it or whatever. So I guess really the main question will probably be why do you want to change?
Exactly. I know we're going to have that conversation.
But, because realistically it could be, oh gosh, which one was it that I was on? There was one I was on that basically, can't remember what it was for, whether it was for my migraines or I think it was for migraines or whatever. Anyway, it was like 2 medicines in one, basically.
Oh, gotcha.
And, that they would prescribe that instead of prescribing the 2 separate ones. You just get one that within a certain dose range, so it could be, just the idea that it's still kind of that you're still, taking 2 drugs, but I don't know. Can't hurt to ask though, Yeah.
And then there's always the insurance question.
Well, yeah, especially if it's new, yeah.
So we'll see how that all.
Well, like the one like Trintelix that I'm on back when it was Brintelix. It was brand new, or not brand new, but newer, and my insurance wouldn't cover it unless basically I had issues with like 3 previous ones or some number like that. So, which luckily for me I did. So, or unluckily, depending on how you want to look at it, I guess.
Right. Sorry about that. I have a dog train running through my house at the moment.
Yep.
There they go. They settle down a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, folks. So I had that. So I'm going to be checking that out. And I've been toying with the idea, and it's a very scary idea, of talking to my work about medical marijuana use
Yeah.
and going to HR and having that discussion with them.
Right.
It's in my documents that I am bipolar, because I check marked the box.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really paid attention or cares or anything
Right.
along those lines. But I did check mark the box when I applied and got hired in.
Right.
So it is there for them to see. But I'm going to talk to my doctor to see if my doctor would prescribe it.
Right.
And if they will prescribe it, then I'm going to talk to my work and say, what are the rules around this?
Yeah.
And see what they say.
Right.
Because we don't really do randoms.
Yeah.
So, since we don't really do randoms, it's one of those things. Do I just do it and don't ask permission and ask for forgiveness? Or do I go above board, do it all along?
Good question.
Yeah. And that's always the difficult one to really think about and trying to determine what's the best course of action.
Right.
For me, it's always been beneficial because I really struggle with keeping things a secret. I just always have been that way.
Right.
I like to keep things up and above board. So I don't know if I could do that. And I don't know, I'm still apprehensive because, again, I've been on the medicine for so long and have done fairly well with it. So I'm going to go off of it and try medicinal marijuana.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many different things out there. Like, depending upon what you read, there's so much information.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees of anything, of course.
Right.
So, I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff to think about and consider.
Right.
So, but it is what it is, type of a thing, you know. So all these things I'm kind of playing around in my little mind, trying to figure it all out. But definitely the first step is, of course, to talk to my doctors, get my doctors involved in the decisions.
Yeah.
And my husband, of course, and have his support in whatever I do, because it's pretty important to have that support system on board.
Yep, definitely does, or is. And
so I've got that going on. What else has we got going on here? Oh, something else that it's been interesting because I've been added to a couple rooms in the last few weeks. In rooms are just like chat rooms on Twitter. That's what I'm referring to. Which is just basically a group of people talking together in a private chat.
Yeah.
They are draft rooms, which means that people help each other to craft tweets or their tweet drops. But the people I'm talking with are, in my estimation, higher quality tweeters than I am. So, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Which is good part is it encourages you to step up your game and become better.
Yeah.
Which is always what you want to do, is surround yourself with people who want to help you become a better version of you. So, always a good thing. The bad part is getting stage fright, shall we call it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, afraid to post. Because you don't want to appear foolish or less than in the eyes of people that you admire.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit of a catch-22. but I'm choosing to look at it as a positive, as a growth experience.
Yeah.
And it's definitely getting me into a different place in Twitter, which is a good thing, because it kind of takes me away from some of the old crowd that I used to hang with a bit, and bringing me into a new crowd that's of a different mindset.
Yeah.
So, all in all, it was a good thing, but it's been interesting because I've been really kind of fighting the self-esteem issues a bit. I think that's just a little bit of a layover from the past couple weeks of all the ups and downs and craziness that my head's been going through. But
yeah, it could be.
Yeah. So I think that's just a little bit of residual going on, but for the most part, it's been good to really kind of push myself to just kind of think differently and to stretch my mind a bit.
Right.
So that's what I've been working on in my head.
How
about you?
It's really funny because in those same kind of settings, that's the one, like, I never have that. It's the one place, I don't know why, but I don't have like that doubt. And I think what it is I've always, like, anything I post on Twitter, it's mainly because I've written it because I thought it was funny. Like, it's like to entertain me. And
right.
If other people come along on the road, cool. If not, meh. So I just post what I post, and I never expected to do any numbers because, well, first of all, I don't care. But also, you learn really fast on Twitter that the stuff, like whatever it is you think is your funniest stuff, probably will get no following, but the dumbest thing will go viral or something like that, So
this is very true.
Yeah.
Basically, the stuff that's gone viral, it's like, seriously,
Yeah.
someone talks about their coffee and they get viral. And
Yeah.
It's like,
Yep. That's why I don't care about that. I never did. Back when on Twitter there was the 5-star thing, I never cared about it. Like I had it twice, but that was because someone else paid for it twice for me. Like, I never paid for it myself. I never really cared if I got trophies from people. It was like, whatever, I don't care. So it's funny how, for me, like, one element of creativity, I have zero issues with just like, like, okay, I like this, I'm going to post it, whatever. But in other elements of creativity, I can't bring myself to do it. Like, for those reasons, like you said, like, essentially you kind of compare yourself to the others thinking you're less than, even if you aren't,
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny.
You've always been very much I do things to make myself laugh. If you laugh, great. I do it for myself.
Yeah. Like, and that's me in real life too. Like, I will make jokes out loud that make me laugh, and if no one else laughs, I don't even care that much. I'll just say it because I think it's funny, and then that's it. I'm done, So yeah.
What about you? What have you been?
Well, I forgot I talked about this with you and Henno, but not on the podcast. But I went to therapy Friday, and it's kind of funny because my therapist, I told her, like, when I first sat down, I said, I'm going to apologize. I said, my thoughts are probably not going to be together right now. I'm like, because I'm terrible in the morning. And she laughed, and she was like, yeah, she's like, I'm the same way. And it was really funny because through the conversation, we both had moments where we just completely lost our train of thought or whatever, because it was just early. But I was telling her about, what I read about agoraphobia after hearing about it on, I had read an article about fear versus, was it anxiety versus phobia? That's what it was. And one of the examples they gave was agoraphobia, and some of the stuff they had in there, so then I rabbit holed from there, and I started reading more on it and realized that I ticked off a lot of those boxes. So, I talked to her about it, and she very much agreed with me. Because, she's like, you clearly are adapting your life to your phobia. You are not, you're not, you aren't just like, I'd really rather not, go on a car ride or whatever. Like, I'm literally like trying to find out ways to not do things where I have to travel any distance because I don't want to be in the car or whatever. So, along with various other parts of it, for those who don't know, and I kind of think I'm going to do, like, maybe have us focus an episode on this, in the future. Because, like a lot of mental health situations, agoraphobia is basically seen by people as like a fear of outdoors or a fear of like going out kind of a thing. And there's way more to it than that. At its base, that's what it is, but there are more elements to it than that. So, and I tick off a lot of the boxes of the things they look for it. So, she also feels as though I should talk to, and I've already made an appointment with a psychiatrist, so a new psychiatrist actually. So that's next month. That's not for, it's literally like a month away now, so that'll be a while off yet. But she wants me to talk to them about basically maybe getting something for when I have my really bad anxiety, so that I have something that can help me cope, because, me, I've always been very resistant to it because I don't want anything that I can build a tolerance up to really, or that I can form an addiction to. But I am really good about, like, if I'm in a situation and I need something, if I have it, I will use it. But if I don't have a need for it, I won't use it. Like, I can have muscle relaxers sitting around. I'm not going to abuse them. Like something along that line, or anti-anxiety medicines. Because for the most part, I'll just cope. Like even for my knee hurts all the time, but I'm not constantly taking even, ibuprofen or something, So, she's like, they've come a long way with some of the medicines for that. So she wants me to talk to a psychiatrist about that. And just in general, just to make sure, they feel that my meds are, doing what they're supposed to be doing and such. So, and then it was funny though, because as we were talking, I was telling her different stuff, and, and she called me out for, not letting myself have a win is something being enough, cause she different times she's like, you're so hard on yourself. She's like, you've done this or that's a long, that's a big, and I'm like, yeah, and I told her, I said, I've got years and years and years of deflecting and perfectionism that I'm still fighting to overcome. And I kind of forgot, cause I only been seeing her a few times at this point. So she doesn't know all my backstory yet. So I told her, I said, oh yeah, I said, strap in. I said, I got a lot to unpack. And she laughed, and she was taking different notes, and she was like, okay. And then I see her circling something, and she's like, we're talking about this when we start next time. And, so, I told her, I said, yeah, I said, I fully know, even though I've done a lot of work, I said, I've got a lot of work to do yet. And, unfortunately, I think I've got a lot of really hard work to do in front of me to, get where I'd like to be. So, but at the same time, it's, at least I'm trying, so that's all I can do. But yeah, I came out of there and I felt a whole lot better, because it's always nice when you get, I don't know, it's like, I'd rather have a name for something and then be able to do research and look into it. 'Cause I'm comfortable with knowledge, like, again, I remember when my dad, had to have quadruple bypass. And when he did, I went online, and I didn't watch videos or anything, but I was like, I went online and was just reading up on what they're going to do and all this kind of stuff, basically to just reassure myself of the whole thing. So I've always kind of been that way. It's like if I use WebMD, I'm not generally using it so that I can, be a hypochondriac or anything, or worst case scenario on that type of thing. I'm looking for clarity is what I'm looking for. So, and it's nice when you hear somebody who's, somewhat qualified that's like, yeah, this really sounds like that. Like, okay, good. They confirmed that,
Nice little bit,
What was that?
bit of validation.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's basically been it for me. I really haven't done anything because it's been awful outside and I've had brutal headaches most of the week. So, hooray.
Well, today we're going to be talking about a gentleman named Leo Bascaglia. Now, you guys may have heard me mention him a few times already on the show. He is one of my favorite authors, and it's Leo, Leo, and then Bascaglia, which is Buscaglia. Now, what makes Leo so special is the way he looks at life, or looked at life, I should say. He's no longer with us. One of the quotes from him is, "I've always thought that people need to feel good about themselves, and I see my role as offering support to them, to provide some light along the way." Now, Leo Bascaglia, a man whose work I truly love and value, which is very true of me as well, spent his entire life living in love. Through his presence, his books, his talks, and all his works, he inspired and empowered people from all over the world to love more. He knew that love is life and life is love, and that the more love we welcome into our hearts, the more life we'll be able to add to our lives. And he wanted the whole world to be immersed in love. He wanted us all to live a more fulfilling life. And today, I will share with you some of his most beautiful and most inspiring quotes compiled below. So I did find this article that really kind of captures a lot of what his teachings were about and different things that he learned us. He taught us, I should say. I love it.
He learned us, yeah.
He was. Oh, goodness. But one of the books that he wrote was actually entitled Love, because he wanted to own the copyright on love. Which always cracks me up. But there's so many different stories in his teachings and his writings. He was a teacher as well as an author and a public speaker. He talks about all these wonderful different things. One of my favorite stories of his is he talks about going to the park and seeing a pile of leaves and running over and jumping in the leaves. And these two little old ladies were sitting there watching him, and they're all shaking their heads. That crazy Bascaglia. What's he doing now? Oh, just a crazy, crazy man. And his response to being called crazy is, yes, it's freedom. It's freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it. If you're crazy, so what? People will forgive you because you're crazy. He's like, you get to do what you want. It's the freedom. Embrace that freedom of, don't live inside the box. Break free from the box, and it's okay to be outside and enjoying your life for what it is. So
yeah,
wonderful stuff. So tonight we're going to talk about some of his quotes. It's divided into different groups, but I'll start here at the beginning. All right. What we call the secret of happiness is no more a secret than our willingness to choose life. I love this one because, of course, it has my favorite word in it, choice. And I will say it again, I've said it many times before. I challenge you. Give me a scenario, message me with a scenario where there is no choice. There's always a choice, and I guarantee you I will find a choice. I may not like the choices, but there's always choices. So you are never helpless. So the secret to happiness is choosing to live. Love is not some complex, mystical abstraction. It's something accessible to humans that we learn through our everyday experiences, and oftentimes a failure is a moment of ecstasy. So I'll read that one again. As often at times of failure as in moments of ecstasy. So we learn about love even when we're failing. And sometimes we learn even more about love when we fail.
Yeah. And that goes into pretty much anything, you know. Usually you learn in failure. You don't learn in success as much.
And the other lessons that he taught us, living is just living is not enough. It's not enough to have lived. We should be determined to live for something. May I suggest that it be creating joy for others, sharing what we have for the betterment of personkind, bringing hope to the lost and the love to the lonely. Now, he also is a firm believer of the, fill your cup before you fill others.
Yeah.
But definitely speaks to going above yourself and outside of yourself to connect with other people and to share. It's always been very big in his teachings on connecting and really finding the joy in what you're doing. One of his other stories he talks about, and again, I do apologize, I paraphrase his stories. They're so much better when you read them or listen to them via audio. Tells them so much better than I ever could, but I will give it my best shot. He's on an airplane, and this woman comes on with a baby, and another woman sits down next to it and looks at him and is like, "Oh, great." He's like, "Great?" He's like, "There's a baby on this flight." And he looked at her and he's like, "Oh." She's like, "I bet you it's going to cry the entire time and it's going to be obnoxious and annoying the entire time." And he's like, "Well, I'm sorry to hear that." And then he was thinking about it a bit. He's like, "You know what? How wonderful is it that this mother can maybe take this baby to see her grandmother for the very first time? That this woman, in a matter of a couple hours, can travel across the country to get things done or to visit family or have these experiences, when in the past it would take days, weeks, and maybe not even happen at all." Isn't it marvelous and wonderful, the technology that we have and the abilities that we have to transcend all of these obstacles that used to be in our way? In really, what the whole point of that is not babies can be annoying or not annoying, because they can be both. But the whole point of his teaching is every situation, you can look at it with whichever eyes you want to. You can either look at it and find the positive, or you can look at it and find the negative. Honestly, I strive for the positive, but I usually land somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's just that going above and beyond yourself and to think about things from different perspectives. Another topic that he would teach upon is change is the end result of all true learning. So it's that whole overcoming the analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
As you're going through your learning process, in the end, you should have changed or will have changed in some way. Maybe the change is small. Maybe it's big. I don't know. It all depends. But the change is the end result of all true learning. So if you truly learn something, you are not the same person that you were before.
Right.
All right. The greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person nothing, does nothing, has nothing, is nothing, and becomes nothing. He may avoid suffering and sorrow, but he simply cannot learn and feel and change and grow and love and live.
Yeah, it's funny, like this idea probably lives on more famously in the similar, like the Wayne Gretzky, you miss 99% of the shots you don't take, or 100% of the shots. Why did I say 99? 100% of the shots you don't take, Because that's the only way you can really live with, regrets is if you never take your shot. So.
This is true.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to sit back and say, oh, I can't. I shouldn't. I won't.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's so easy.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the easier it is to say those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't because of this, or I can't because of that, or I'm going to hurt myself. I'm going to do this and that. Excuses are so easy. And the older you get, the easier they become. While you're making excuses, other people are living. So you got to take some risks. Now, I will caveat it here. Risks are different depending upon the person.
Mm-hmm.
A risk to me may be wearing 3-inch heels in the snow. That may not be a risk to somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's all relative. Another one that we have here tonight. And this one screams Twitter to me, and social media in general, I should say. Social media, 100%. Only the weak are cruel. Gentleness can only be expected from the strong. I always love that one because if you really stop and think about it, strength comes from knowing when to step up and when to speak and when not to speak. And it's very, very difficult. And sometimes it's tougher not to say something than it is even to say something.
Mm-hmm.
That strength that comes from inside to allow you to be compassionate and caring takes so much more strength than the easy way out in calling names and pointing fingers and pushing buttons.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It is. It's not just Twitter. It's just any internet behaving, whether it's on different websites or Twitter or social media or whatever. It's all, like you said, it's much easier to just keep scrolling. Like instead of taking the time to type a hateful comment to somebody, or just block and move on or whatever it is. It's just so much easier to do that,
It really is. Block and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Mute. Use those tools that you have in front of you.
Yeah.
To experience a better experience. And don't waste your time and energy on people who are not worth your time and energy.
Yeah. Not to mention, most of the time, yelling back at somebody or all this, most of the time it really isn't going to do any good. And I'm not saying you should just stand by and let somebody run over you. But if you're just scrolling and you see a comment that you don't agree with or whatever, you don't have to interact with that. It's like picture being in public, right? You're sitting in a restaurant, you hear two people talking, one of them makes a comment that you don't agree with. You don't have to get involved in it. You can just sit there and ignore it or leave or whatever. You don't have to try to get into it with someone and try to change someone's mind because, again, that's not an easy thing to do, And in the end, I don't know. For me, you just find out how much less frustrating it is, you know. Because how many times, and we've all done it, whether it's Facebook or somewhere, you know, you reply to someone's comment, you know, you end up in an argument, and then you're checking it every 2 minutes to see if they responded, and you're just, you know, and then some of us, like, after it's all said and done, you know, you start replaying the whole scenario, and, you know, and then you feel guilty because you crossed the line or this, or it's just not worth it to me. It's so much easier to just, like I said, just block, unfollow, whatever it needs to be. You know, I've been doing it a lot on Twitter lately. I've been seeing people, you know, posting things that I don't like or just don't want on my timeline anymore. And I'm just removing those people from my timeline because it's just easier, you know.
And remember, the difference between defense and bullying is intent.
Yeah.
All about your intent. If your intent is to defend yourself or defend someone else, absolutely go forward and, you know, fight your battle.
Yeah.
But
well, and even that depends, you know, because, you know, I see a lot, like, there's a lot of people, you know, politics is a perfect example in this, in that there's a lot of people who tie themselves to whoever their favorite candidate is way too much.
Oh, yeah. They get way too passionate and way
Yeah.
too...
And I see people, you know, make a criticism of someone's candidate, and I mean you know, just a normal criticism, not like an attack, but a normal criticism, and then that person goes on the attack, or they both end up attacking each other over it, and it's like, really? Like, no, it's not worth it. Why, you know, first of all, don't worship politicians, you know, like, do not idolize them. It's a terrible idea. They can't live up to whatever it is you expect them to live up to. They just can't. That's not how it works. And also, like, again, just let that person have their opinion. If they think so-and-so's a great candidate, whatever. You can disagree with them. If you can have a civil discourse, that's one thing. But if it just becomes an argument or name-calling or bashing, and it's like, what are you doing here? You know, like... Like, is this really the energy you want to put out there? And also, is this really what you want to spend your energy on? You know? Like me, I know I have a limited amount of energy. I don't want to waste it arguing politics with people, or religion, or sports, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's just elements of it that I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do this. Like...
Exactly.
It's kind of like as you're growing up, you know, like when you're a little kid, you have no concept really of money or how long it takes you to earn something, you know, so you're just willy-nilly with it. Then once you start working and start seeing, holy crap, this is going to take me 12 hours of work to pay for this. Do I really want this anymore? And that's the way I kind of am looking at a lot of things in the world now, is like, this is going to sap a lot of my energy. Is it worth it?
Right.
You know?
Well, I think we're going to end on, well, there's two more here that I want to go through.
Okay.
The next one is, when we cling to pain, we end up punishing ourselves. We need to learn to let go as easily as we grasp, and we will find our hands full and our minds empty. So learning to let go of the pain and learning to let go, you know, as Hanno mentioned before on the show, let go or be dragged.
Yeah.
You just got to find a way to let go.
And that goes back to what we were just talking about. It really does. It's hard because you want to change someone's mind or correct them or whatever it is. And it's like, you just got to let go of trying to control, you know? Mm-hmm. And like I said, you know, we've talked on here before, you know, you find more control in life when you let go more. You know, you really do. It doesn't sound like it makes any sense, but it really does. So.
And this last one is exactly that. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control your attitude towards what happens to you.
Yeah.
There are two forces at work, external and internal. We have very little control over external forces such as tornadoes, earthquakes, floods, disasters, illness, and pain. What really matters is the internal force. How do I respond to those disasters? over that, I have complete control.
Yeah.
Remember, you can control your actions.
Right. And that's really about all you can control.
Exactly.
You can try to control other things, but the only thing you can control is your reaction, So it's very empowering when you start learning those things. It's really difficult. I fully understand it because, I've always been I want to control things around me, not so much to be a manipulator to other people, but just to try to make things seemingly more simple and less stressful for myself. And you end up, like I said, in the long run, you end up realizing that all you do is you cause yourself more stress by trying to, the tighter your grip on stuff tends to be because you worry more about it. So.
Yeah. All right, I lied. I got one more.
Okay. We got time, so it's fine.
Do we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, the easiest thing to be in the world is you. The most difficult thing is to be what other people want you to be.
Yeah.
And it just don't let them put you in that position. Be you. And I love that one. We need not to be afraid to touch, to feel, to show emotion. The easiest thing in the world is to be what you are, what you feel. The hardest thing is to be what other people want you to be. And I love that. And that's just reading his stuff just brings so much emotion up in me. Hopefully this stuff sounds familiar because this is what I strive for, is these things. So I'm hoping that some of this sounds familiar, like things that I have said before or thoughts that I have shared before, because this is where he's so much more eloquent than I could ever be. But this is where it comes from, and this is where it started from with me.
Mm-hmm.
My mom used to give me his books, and we used to listen to the books on tape in the car when we were traveling and things. And it's just left such an impression on me.
Yeah. It's understandable. It's very, it's a good mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It is really him trying to be more positive and being more in the moment, and less controlling, all those things that we talk about that are very much, some of the stronger entities in the distorted thinking stuff, is, and the more of these kind of things you can do, you're probably going to find yourself, maybe not happier, maybe happier, who knows, but, less stressful, less, maybe not depleting your energy bank on useless things, like getting more out of life, because you know how it is. Like if you stand around all day and don't do anything, at the end of the day, you're tired, right? But if you're working and you're doing things all day and at the end of the day, you're tired, it's a different tired.
Yes, it is.
Like when you stand around, you feel like you're wasting your time or whatever. So when you're actually doing work or doing whatever it is, at the end of the day, we all seem to, I don't know, it seems to help a lot of people rest easier because you feel like you accomplished something, So I think like in my head, that's kind of where I'm seeing most of his stuff ending at the end of the day is like, if you're going to put effort into the world, put it into things that are rewarding or, that make you, make your head light at night, so that you can, get the rest that you need so you can start again the next day rather than, laying there ruminating because, you're trying to control this and that person and this conversation and what it's just like, it's all of it.
Exactly. This one is a great one because it's actually a variant of things that I've said in the past. Love yourself because without you, the rest of us are without a source of many wonderful things. hear someone getting down on themselves too much, I remind them, I'm like, careful, you're talking about my friend there, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Because you have to sometimes remind people that you see things differently. You see them differently. I've told people before, I'm like, you need to see yourself through my eyes. I said, I wish I could show you what I see. And, you know, and I'll tell them, I'm like, this is what I see. You don't see that because you're in the forest.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
See it. But what I see is, you know, a strong person, a creative person, a funny person, an attractive person. You know, I mirror back to them what I see to kind of help them to take that step outside of themselves and understand that they may not feel it, but they are a source of wonderful things, as Leo says.
Yeah.
And of course, we've all heard this one before. Worry never robs tomorrow of its sorrow. It only saps today of its joy.
Yeah.
That's a pretty popular one.
Yeah, because I think, what is it? I can't remember. There's an older quote that basically I can't remember who it's by. It's basically something like, what is it? Worrying is the thief of joy, or something to that effect.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, so that, you know, that one's always kind of stood out in my head too. And even though I worry like crazy, I mean, I am a manifestation of that. You know, like my overall worrying, you know, steals my ability to have joy in a lot of things.
All right. Make no one your idol. They will never live up to your expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Including yourself.
Yeah.
Not idolize yourself nor anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one I don't have to be reminded of. I really don't, like, idolize people the way a lot of people do. Like, I have, I had sports heroes and different stuff like that and whatever, but it was never, like, I always also knew that they were also people, you know, and we're all flawed. So,
Back in my years, I idolized people I knew more than I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't necessarily idolize people, but I have a way of overlooking their flaws.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, we all do that, yeah.
But that's about it.
Right. Well, I mean, realistically, we all do it because if we didn't, we'd never have relationships.
Exactly.
Because we're all flawed. So if we didn't overlook, some things, we'd all be lonely.
Got to make sure that you don't overlook important things.
Yeah. This goes back to the old Charles Barkley, I am not a role model thing. Like, and I bought into that when he said it, like, he's not, there's a lot of, you can take elements from somebody and, like, oh, hey, this guy worked extra hard because he was shorter than the guys that played his position, to have the success he did at his height at that position, or whatever, or, take an athlete or whatever it is. If you want to, admire certain things and copy certain things about people. But, again, how many times has somebody that people looked up to for years and years come out in the press recently or over the last whatever, and we find out things about them that we're like, whoa, like, so, yeah, it's like you hear on comedy podcasts, I still hear comedians that they'll bring up Bill Cosby, and it's hard for them to because of all the stuff that, as a person, Bill Cosby has done. But as a comedian, he was really good, and they idolize, so it's hard to separate those, or Michael Jackson, or, like those kind of people. There's all that stuff. So it's just better off just not idolizing. Just enjoy people for what they bring to the table. And like I said, if you want to admire hard work or dedication or whatever, that's one thing. But, don't put them up on too tall of a pedestal. And like you said, or yourself, Don't buy your own hype.
Don't buy your own hype.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to see if there's any other ones that I just have to share.
Well, we can have the link for these quotes in the show notes too, so that if anyone wants to read more of them, and I have a link to the Wikipedia for him, so that's got links to, things he published and whatnot.
You don't love to be loved. You love to love. Love is always bestowed as a gift, freely, willingly, and without expectation. We don't love to be loved. We love to love.
Which is really how any gift should be given.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't do for someone only because you expect something in return, just give, Always put out your good energy and don't worry about what other people put out, it's just easier that way. Then you won't be let down as much, and
You can't control anything other than yourself.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to, is
Yep.
You can control your actions, and if you choose to love someone, that's all that matters. You love them.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I guess that's kind of a good one to sum it up with him.
Yeah.
Because that's really everything that he's kind of has spoken about, is the whole fact that love is not this scarce thing that gets locked up in a cage and put away and hidden, or it's only shared between very select few people. It's something that we all have, that we can all give to each other freely, willingly, and openly. And I feel personally that this world has gotten so far away from that we kind of need the reminder that it's not.
It's funny because I agree with you, but at the same time, I also think a lot of it just has to do with we're not presented with, think about it this way. You watch the news, right? And I mean, I know what probably 10, 15 minutes of the news is sports and weather, let's say. But the other 15, 20 minutes of roughly between, without the commercials, whatever, of the news is not feel-good stories, right? They put one on at the end, maybe, So it's like we're being given 12 to 1 odds of negative to positive. It's hard to feel that the world is positive when you're being told 12 negative things to every one positive thing, right? Like if I give you 12 criticisms to one compliment, that is not a fair compliment sandwich. If I went 6-1-6, that's not going to work real well, right? So I think a lot of it is and again, this is where you can control some of this stuff, because like on Twitter, there's a lot of accounts out there that are, like cute animal things. There's all the YouTube videos. There's good story websites out there. It's like you have to look for them a little bit, but there's a lot of these really good stories out there. I just think we don't get them brought to our face as much as we get brought so-and-so, killed somebody or set a house on fire or military this or politician that, And then at the very end, they're like, oh, yeah, hey, someone did something nice for somebody with cancer. See you tomorrow. Like it's I'm literally basically just going over yesterday's news, like just summarizing it, So, like I said, that's another thing is instead, if you're going to look for stuff to focus on, look for some of this other stuff too. If for no other reason, as we talk on here a lot about balance. Try to find some cute kitten videos or whatever to balance out some of this other garbage that's being thrust in our face all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Go
yeah.
Fun. That's the other thing he did. He had his students, because his neighbors were complaining because he didn't rake his leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Thought leaves are beautiful.
Yeah.
So they complained. So he told his students, break up the leaves, put them in my living room. So they did. They filled his living room with all the leaves so he could enjoy them in the privacy of his own home.
Yeah. I just refuse to rake leaves because it's better to leave them.
Well, it depends upon who you ask, because some people say that they block the oxygen from getting to the grass, so it can damage the grass.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I never used to rake our leaves, and we had lush green grass every year, so I throw shade at that. But also, animals take a lot of the leaves and they build nests and stuff with them, so I don't buy it. But anyway. Yeah.
That's my article for the day. We good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, folks, it's that time again. You know what to do. If you'd like to continue the conversation with us, you can reach us at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com is our website. crazylifepodcast@outlook.com is our email address. You can reach me direct on Twitter at WhitskeyDitz. That's WhitskeyDitz. You can also find me at Jen's Crazy Life, Jen with the G. So whichever account you wish to contact me with, you're more than welcome to. You can also hear more from me if you'd like. I'm on Shake the Sheets, which is a pop culture talk podcast at shakethesheets.com. So if you'd like to listen, we'd love to hear you listening. And if you would like to reach out to Henno is on Twitter at Ida Henno. He's on Facebook at Henno High Turf. And you can also hear him on Moving the Needle. And Brian, how can they find Moving the Needle?
You can find them at MTN Pod on Twitter. So, and they'll be recording a new episode Wednesday, he said, I believe. So their last episode was on the new Star Wars movie.
Nice.
In which they have various opinions and whatnot. I thought it was a good conversation overall. So go check them out. You can find this show on Twitter also at The Crazy Life Pod, where it posts when new episodes go up. You can follow me on Twitter at StuNami. You can find my other podcast at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. That show's not safe for work, so be careful where you listen to it. We are part of the Tangentbound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com, and part of the Danger Entertainment Network, which can be found at dangerentertainment.net. So go check those out and maybe find some other shows that you'll enjoy. And, as always, we, ask you, reach out to people, talk, make sure your friends are doing okay and just let them know that you care and everything. But also, if you need help, please reach out to others. There's tons of resources out there. I just talked to somebody on Twitter recently that has been avoiding therapy because they haven't had insurance, and I mentioned to him about maybe finding a support group or whatever, because a lot of times there'll be support groups that are lower cost or no cost or whatever. So, again, there's other options out there. There's forums on different websites and all sorts of things. So if you're really needing some help, please try to find some help. And if you don't know, what's out there, maybe reach out to like a department of, mental health in your area or whatever. So, or go to NAMI.org and, see if they can help you out maybe. And then, of course, I haven't said it on here. I know it's in the thing before we record, but I just want to make sure. I should probably just start saying it on here again that, we're not doctors, therapists, or trained professionals. So if you, if you need help, please reach out. Don't necessarily take our advice as canon. Go do your due diligence. And, I guess, as appropriate with this episode, when you can be kind to others, please do so. And, of course, that includes yourself. I've been around situations where I know if I stay in that situation, all it's going to do is max out, like, my anxiety or make me angry or whatever, and I'll just remove myself from the situation. And in that, I'm being kind to myself. Because, again, you can control yourself. You can control your reaction. That's all you can control. So exercise that power, And like I said, just try to be nice when you can. Be kind to yourself and to others.
In the words of the Youngbloods, come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now.